Hey, what's going on, guys? Hopefully back for the real episode 2. The other one does not exist. We never made
Doesn't
it. We
exist.
never made an episode 2. It's you can't prove anything. Um, yeah, we're back like 2 weeks later. Um, and back and on the rag and ovulating. Um, awful. Fuck. Okay. Today we're gonna be talking about the recent big changes to Siege. AJ's picture is gonna flip out a bunch and stick his little tongue out a lot. I love it. I love this little guy. Also, this is the format we're gonna go with for now until we decide to maybe. But I think this will be fine. We'll just have two of our little guys, our sonas. Do I have a first?
um,
It's more like an OC that you just use.
it's more of an OC because I don't dress up as Jeb.
This is true. I have a really funny
He's
idea for you.
he's not he's not anthropomorphic.
If you just wear
I don't
like, all right, so if you wear like leggings and then a big yellow
a
ball,
big yellow ball. One of those inflatable one of
yeah,
those inflatable costumes like the T-Rexes and stuff.
like the sumo outfit and shit. Oh my god, that'd be
Yeah.
fucking
Just a
hilarious.
yellow circle.
Anyway, yeah. So today we're gonna be talking about the recent changes for Siege, all the stuff on the TTS right now, and the upcoming changes like G36C nerfs, the Selma nerfs, shields as a whole, and then also like two morale and shit.
hmm
The good stuff. Uh,
Um,
yeah.
for the people listening, our group has a lot of experience with shields. Uh, Ever since we all started playing Siege together, we run a lot of shield strats. Our most played operators are the different shields that we play. Um,
Blackbeard is my second played attacker. I think Blitz is one of my most played ops
Unfortunately,
overall,
yeah.
like console and PC. So
Like my specialty comes from Monty and playing Clash, although Clash is not necessarily included in the Shield rework.
Flash will not be a part of today's discussion.
Clash will not be a part of today's discussion, but that's my background in Shields. To start, let's talk about the current Shields, live Shields, and the things that are going to be changed.
Yes.
So, old Shields, there are a lot of things that are being addressed in the TTS that basically every negative aspect of shields is being addressed. Those negative things, orientation and perspective. One of the big problems of shields and a smaller issue in Siege as a whole is animation locks and the perspective of the first person versus the third person. Um, because Siege is a game where you don't see your own third person model, and instead there is a camera where with a 2D image interposed onto it, being, your arms, the animations that you do. There is a disconnect between what you see and what you do. Greatest example of this is ADS speed on shields. Shields for a long time have had a very slow ADS speed, and the animation for the ADS has not been changed whatsoever. So while on your first person perspective, you may look like your shield is still kind of in front of you because you're kind of bringing it up, putting the gun overhead. No, on the third person perspective, you immediately whip out the gun, bring the shield down, and for nearly a whole second, or no, nearly for
Like
half
half a
a
second.
second, is half a second. Not even nearly, over half a second. Because I'm pretty sure it's
It's
600
it's
milliseconds.
0.75 for shield.
0.75.
I think
Mm,
Blackbeard is weird at like 0.5 or 0.600
I think it's point 0.6.
whenever his shield is attached.
Yeah, but shields nearly a whole second. Your head is exposed, but you are not capable of firing back with ADS accuracy.
Yeah. Um, the reason for this, just in case anyone is lost on why this is a thing that happens, um, way back in Ember Rise, I guess a little bit before that, a few seasons before that, ADS speed I think was randomly changed. I think accidentally. To where all of the ADS speeds across the board were really fast. Like I'm talking 0.25 seconds for most guns, or like
I remember
maybe
that.
0.15.
Really?
I think it was fucking fast for all the rifles and shit, and then shields were at like 0.3. But the problem with the animations is that the shields are still at 0.3 even after the changes got even after it got changed in Ember Rise with the shields being raised to a 0.75 ADS speed, because you you snap to in point 0.3 on your third person model, which is what the Finka boost version should look like currently.
I don't remember the 0.75. Do you remember where we got that number?
It was a number that was put on like Ember Rise patch notes a long time ago, like Ember Rise designer notes, and
Okay.
I just remember it. I
All
can
right.
verify
I'll
real
I'll
quick, but
I'll trust you. I'll trust you on that.
you can keep going. I'll find it real quick.
Yeah. So the the other thing that was a flaw of shields was hip fire. Hipfire had a little bit of a place in creating threat. That was one of the ways that higher level shields would create threat is hip firing. Because every single time that you hip fire, there is a slim chance that you one tap the person that you're looking at. The One of the frustrations that people have playing as and especially playing against shields is an idea of skill versus luck.
Found it.
The hip fire on shields is so random. It is so wide,
It's
and it
good.
only gets worse if you get shot. When your shield gets shot, your hip fire is affected. It blooms, but for shields, that's happening a lot. So your hip fire is all over the place. So it really is just luck on whether or not you hit it, which is why, a Fuse might use the Gish over the PMM, or a Monty might use the 12 over the LFP,
Give me the P9.
or the P9,
Yeah.
not the 12.
One is a 9, one is a
Blit
12.
Blitz has the 12.
Yeah.
Blitz has the 12. Monty
um
has the 9. But,
um,
Monty could use the 9 instead of the LFP. And the whole purpose of that was you want as many bullets as possible to create threat. And, if the gods smile upon you, bam, you just one tapped them. You just took that down to a 4v5 and you had no reason to get it. That's really frustrating. Um Another thing about shields were really clunky. Shields have been clunky for a long time. Blitz is probably the most fluid on live server right now because he's he's the fastest shield out of the three by far. He's capable of doing his blitz sprint. He has a better armor rating than the others, or a better speed rating. Even with the shield weighing him down, Blitz can maintain a rush. That's his identity. That is what he is there for. But Monty, especially Fuse, there is no reason to really play Shield Fuse. I play Shield Fuse myself, and I really cannot give you a definitive reason that isn't an edge case on me being lucky. on why you should play Shield Fuse. You should play AK-12 Fuse. On live, you should play AK-12 Fuse. There is no other Fuse that you should be playing unless you feel like being silly, like me. I'm
LMG
sure that
Fuse is an option, but not a really good
LM,
one.
yeah, it's not a very good option. I'm pretty sure it's like the worst LMG now,
341. It's
right
pretty
next
bad.
to Ella's.
As the fucking
Or not
LMGE,
Ella's,
yeah,
Zos, sister.
LMGE's only saving grace is that it fires faster, but that's
It's
not even
150
exactly
bullets.
better because the recoil is still horrible. But
Hmm.
I do still like playing it every now and then, mainly on ramp.
Yeah.
But even then,
Um,
I usually just use the R4C.
Another issue, um, guard break. Guard break isn't necessarily an issue, but it's more of a compounded thing on top of the issues that shields had. Beforehand, the issue is that shields were impenetrable. You would throw an impact at a shield, you would throw a nitro cell at a shield, and they just eat it.
It shrug it off, especially Monty back when his damage reduction was like
Hmm.
80%.
I think it was 85.
I think it was just 80, and then they lowered it to 60 because it's 60
Yeah.
now.
But regardless, Monty with his full shield, he could eat nitros all day. He could eat impacts all day. You could throw every impact on a enemy team on a defending team. You could throw all 10 of them at him and he probably would survive.
Hold on, let me find out what 80% of 600 is. uh, and 800.
Well, it's 2 impacts
Wait, no.
per, so
Wait, no,
that's
80%, right?
60.
Uh,
So yeah,
he's
600.
blocking 640 out of the. Wait, oh, I did the numbers backwards. Um, fuck, not 600. Thank you. He's
How
blocking
much
480 of the 600 possible damage, meaning he would die to the like very last impact.
he would die to the very last impact.
I
That's crazy. Which is a good thing that they changed it. The issue is that shields, ever since the shield break mechanic was added, have never gotten a buff. There's not a single time that shields have gotten a buff ever since they got nerfed with the guard break system. I think the guard break system is good, but I do think that they needed something. The last thing that was bad about the shields was the melee. In
love
order
melee.
to melee somebody, you had to expose your head. Not only that, but shield melee is just slightly slower than regular melee. So if two people were to melee each other at the same time, the guard break system would come into play. The person would melee the shield, it'd knock it to the side, and then they have no way of defending themselves because hip fire is also trash. Even if you're right up against them, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to win that fight. Now, though, the TTS has dropped, and we now in our hands have the Shield rework. This very scary, but very fun, very good rework.
It's, I will uh, stretch. And then second, I will say that the very best thing you can do, anyone listening with the shield rework, is play with your friends, play with your randos even, and stick together. Find the roamers and then work from there.
Hmm. And finding the roamer is easier than ever because the primary thing that I think that they could have Ubisoft could have made this change alone, called it a rework, and I would have kissed their shoes, all right? They made every shield have the blitz sprint. Every shield now hunkers behind their shield and they sprint forward, facing forward, shield forward. You cannot frontally assault them unless you shoot their legs. But every single shield op is a blitz now. They all have the sprint. A Monty sprinting, a Fuse sprinting, the the blitz sprinting. It is so terrifying to be on the defending team and to have a cascade of steel way upon you. But they removed the hip fire. The one thing that they changed that could be considered a nerf. The one thing that is kind of a nerf is the hip fire. But as I stated before, skill, luck, there was no reason for hip fire to exist on shields.
It is a
It
good nerf, and if you're still concerned with hip firing and you would like to still hip fire, you can still just fucking prone.
Yeah, just go prone and hip fire then. One, it's more consistent, and two, there's now a risk reward, and it's really funny if you pull it off.
Drop shotting
But
is still a strategy all these years.
yeah, drop shotting is still a good strategy. But like particularly with Monty, I always ran LFP Monty because I think that I'm slick. I think that I'm cool. I think that the big Enor is a lot more stylish than the P9. So I always ran it. I didn't hip fire with it because I couldn't. I have 6 bullets. Those 6 bullets need to be used effectively. Now the new way that a shield is able to defend themselves is not only with the sprint being consolidated amongst everybody to being the blitz sprint, but the new melee. New melee is a shove. It deals 35 damage on a strike and it knocks them over as if it was an Oryx dash. The great thing about this is that you can chain it over and over again. If somebody is alone and they're caught in a room with a shield in close quarters, the shield is probably going to win now
So
because if they close that distance, the shield has full reign over you. They can just bash you over and over again, strafing you as they do it. Even worse if there is more than one shield. The counterplay now, however, is the new orientation of the shield.
your toes
Uh,
is
your
your
toes
feet,
are a lot more exposed now.
whether
Uh,
you're standing or crouched, your
what
toes are there.
you cannot be static as a shield anymore. It used to be that, you're a blitz, you're a fuse, you're sitting in the doorway and you're just vibing, you're just crouched down. And, they're a room over, they don't have an angle, a good angle on your shoulders, which was usually the way that, people got you. They either got your shoulders or your gun hand.
Yep. Or they have impacts.
Or they have impacts, or
Um,
nitro, or it's a smump, something like that. There's a lot
Now
of counters to shields.
the orientation is different to where anytime you really stand still, or even if you like crouch and strafe, do not crouch and strafe. Worst mistake of my fucking life. Um, that shit will reveal like your entire legs, so you really have to be careful of it. Monty's
Yes.
really the only operator that can rush now, while Fuse just kind of really just still shouldn't be played with a shield. But I mean, it's more of an option now. If you're using the PMM, the shield bash will do 35 damage, and then you can one tap them with the PMM if they're
On the chest.
below a 3 armor. Um, Same thing with the LFP. Blitz you still have to 2-tap. That's okay. Anyway, with Fuse, you should just use K12. Blitz is still just a rushdown operator. You should only use him as a rushdown operator. Do not try to like crouch, go back, and wait out any fights. You're not gonna win at this point.
Yeah.
Montaigne has never been more of a hunker down and wait operator, but now he also has an option of
He can
deciding.
descend upon you.
God
if
forbid he
you
has a blitz
give
behind him.
if you give a TTS Monty a single second, he will capitalize. You will be crushed under the weight of the mountain.
Christian sins.
It is so fun to play Monty now because Monty is an incredibly slow character, but now he can just suddenly have an explosive burst of speed. A Monty walks into sight and he overextends inside of sight, going against the wall. Everybody's looking at him. Monty on comm says, "Hey, everybody, make noise." And so, like the Ying and the Capital and the Gridlock, the rest of their team, they all make a fake push or they actually push, and suddenly, like, a majority of the defenders, they all turn around and like, oh shit, they're pushing over here. Don't worry about that Monty. He's not a threat. He's got his shield up. And then suddenly they hear a whump from behind them, and there is a man getting beaten down like the dog he is.
This is this is from direct experience we had in one of our TTS matches.
This is
It's
direct experience.
terrifying.
I was it was two people in the basement of Lair, and they looked away from me. It was like a smoke and a bandit.
It was a yeah, I think it was a
I think it was a
and
mute.
it was a
It
mute,
was an
and I think
SAS
like
and a bandit.
it was like a bandit or Jaeger. Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. But regardless,
didn't matter.
they were both looking at me. They were both keeping an eye on me. I overextended,
And then I
but
think our
my other
lion
shield,
pushed.
yeah, like our lion pushed. I had more shields behind me that were tailing a little bit further behind. They enter in, gadgets are being used, they're distracted. All I needed was 1 second, and they were both dead.
Unshield, shove, bap, unshield, shove, bap. It's that easy. I guess
It's
me would
that
have
easy.
taken two baps, but still, even at that point, like, fuck. And the other thing is with the shield rework. So at the start, I said to find those roamers, right?
Hmm.
If you and two other shields, a couple of goofy guys, find that roamer, rush that motherfucker down, shove him to the ground, and take his fucking lunch money. It has never been easier to bully a roamer, and
Hmm.
it's kind of amazing. Just, still be careful of your legs, but Blitz will
Yeah.
be in there first, and they will never be able to even see the legs,
Yeah.
ideally.
Play close to walls. Don't go into open areas.
Yep.
Always play close to the wall. Always play close to the doors. Um, but I think we should now talk about the identity of shields. You know, Currently on live, the identity of a shield is really determined by the operator itself. There is the Monty, there is the Blitz, but there's Fuse. Fuse with shield doesn't really have an identity. Like I said
16?
before, there is no reason to play a shield Fuse. There is no objective reason where rolling in with a shield on Fuse is the best option. Like, I really believe that there is no reason that you should play shield Fuse if you want to be playing, optimally.
It's like it's like if you're running, you know, like any kind of fuse loadout. If you're thinking, all right, am I gonna bring breach charges or hard breaches? Hard breaches will, like, I want to say 70% of the time be the correct option unless you're gonna play vertically. Then bring the breaches.
Hmm.
But like we have this thing with other operators too. I mean, for me, it's most times a lot of operators now after the frag grenade rework have both frags and impact EMPs. I will usually bring the frags over the EMPs
Hmm.
because they both have anti gadget potential, but they also have kill potential. The only
Yeah.
upgrade the EMPs have is that they can be used on the other side. But even then, if I'm gonna play for EMPs, I will just play Thatcher since he
Hmm.
is not even banned anymore. Really,
Yeah. Nobody bans Thatcher anymore.
we do not ban.
I
We
think
ban
this
Ash,
season.
so we kind of capitalize on not
We
fucking not
capitalize
having
on
one of the slots open.
anti-meta.
Yes. Well, the other people usually go, all right, fuck, they banned Ash. Crazy. Let's ban Dokkaebi, I guess.
Yeah, crazy. Let's ban Dokkaebi and Mira daring today, aren't we?
Yes, and then we will ban Solis every time.
Every time. But those are topics for another day.
Yes, I will. We will dig in more on Impact EMP because I want to. I do not like them, and I think they need more. Uh,
So, Old
anyway,
Shields, Monty has a purpose. He is an anchor, he is intel. He can peek that angle and he can survive. He can take that nitro cell and survive. He can tank the gadget and survive. That was his purpose. He was tank, he was intel, he was the facilitator of a play. He was the first one in, and he got the bomb down. or he did something. He was a disruptor. Blitz, a rusher. His whole purpose was to isolate and grab picks. He wants to be in 1v1s. He wants you to be alone. He wants you to be distracted by the Monty so that he can run in and slap you on the back of the head for that $40 haircut that you have on.
$30.
But Fuse, there was no identity. Now, though, I do believe that shields now are an archetype. I think that Osa, I think that the five primary shields being, Blitz, Monty Fuse, Blackbeard Osa. Those are the primary shields within the attacking team. And each of them is unique, but there's nothing really that brings them all together other than, I can block this bullet.
Right.
All of them play completely differently. Now though, I think that at a baseline, every single shield plays the same. If you were to take away the operator ability button, there would be no difference between each of the shields in the TTS.
Yeah.
There is
Um.
zero difference between them. And I think that that's terrific. I think that there is a baseline to shields now. There is a reason to play the shield, being that they all have the blitz sprint, they all have the melee, they're all disruptive, and all of them can use their gadgets from behind the shield. And they can throw gadgets from behind the shield as well. Monty can smoke himself off safely. Blitz, he does his thing. He flashes. Fuse Fuse can activate his breaching charges. Fuse can activate his fuse canisters. He can do all that from behind his shield now, whereas before
You can also throw
that would
smokes.
be detrimental to you.
Blitz can
I
also
don't.
throw smokes. All three have smoke options,
Yeah,
just so you
all
know.
three have smokes.
Um,
Really
just so you
funny.
know, audio listeners, fucking if three shields with smokes, fuck the one rover and throw all your fucking smoke grenades.
They're not gonna see anything, and that warden main is gonna forget that he has a gadget.
There's gonna be so much confusion within
There's gonna be so much confusion. They're gonna hear 6 consecutive and they're gonna be like, what the hell is going on?
it.
Both sites are just completely smoked. Nobody can see a goddamn thing.
And then you hear chunk 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 whomp, and so suddenly you're on the ground. Then there's a P12 on your face, and then there's
Mhm.
a German man, looking at you. What do you do?
Oh no, he's hot.
He doesn't even actually put the P12 in your face. He just shoves you again. Because what are you gonna do? You're on the
What
ground,
are you gonna
idiot.
do?
Get shoved, nerd.
Oh man, pretty boy Blitz shoving me to the ground over and over again. Horrific.
Oh no.
But but
Anyway.
shields as a baseline, they have an identity now. All of the shields have a consistent gameplay, which was not true it's not true in live. You play Fuse completely differently than how you play a Monty. You play Monty completely differently than you play a Blitz. They all have a uniqueness to them that, there's something to be said about that uniqueness, but I think that uniqueness needs to be derived from the gadget and not from the specifics of the character. That's gone now. Every shield has that baseline, and I love that. I love that there is nothing that I need to change about the way that I play outside of being mindful of my gadget.
This
And
is
I think this is also great for the future of Shields
yeah,
because
more.
Ubisoft has kind of, they kind of hinted at it that they're going to be
More.
potentially giving people shields. And let me tell you, my freaking ice cold take Everybody's been over it. Uh, thermite, thermite shield needs to happen. It's gonna happen. I guarantee it. On my mama, I bet money.
My hotter take. I want Thatcher Shield really badly. Because P22 are crazy. You can take away his L8 if you want. That's fine by me. But I want to see that the fly with a deployable or with a ballistic shield. I want to see both of them with ballistic shields, and then that way it's just beautiful.
Yeah. One thing that I am concerned about with shields, however,
Yep.
I think that as we have seen in the TTS, me and you playing it, um, three stacking shields is strong. However, I do think that, in my opinion, I do think that this shield rework is going to completely change the meta.
Mm-hmm.
I think that at the beginning, if this goes live, if it goes live as is, the new meta is going to be shield rushing. We already have a TDM meta where everybody just runs and guns for the first 30 seconds. You know, Anybody who's trying to play Siege, like actually play Siege,
You're
you've
likely gonna
probably
lose.
experienced it before. You decide that, oh, I feel like playing Brava, I feel like playing Twitch, I feel like playing Zero, I feel like playing a slow operator where I can methodically take out the defenses of the enemy team and push in thoughtfully and skillfully. By the way, in the time that it took me to explain what I wanted to do in that round, it's now a 1v5 because your four attacking teammates all rushed in, ran into the cap traps, ran into the frost mats, ran into the angles, and the last one got nitro cell because he got scared in the corner.
The poor thing about the
Have
shields is their
have fun.
vision.
Yeah, but I think that at the beginning of this dropping, it's going to be an issue of all these TDM players are going to start rushing with shields because you can bash through walls, or not walls. You can bash through windows and doors with shields. One other thing that they added that I forgot to mention, you can
Yeah.
just vault through doorways and windows now as shields. Full health barricades. Does not work with castle. Castle still stops everything short
Which,
of
yeah,
an
I mean,
explosion.
who's surprised?
Who's
Um,
surprised?
yeah.
But I think that for the first while, first half of the season maybe, it's going to be nothing but shield. There's going to be a shield on every game. I'm thinking that bans, if they don't do what they did in the TTS and lock the bans
Yeah,
on shields, if they don't lock the ban, if they lock bans on shields, there's going to be three shields every single game, and it's going to be hell because everybody is used to this TDM meta and not using their gadgets. They're not used to playing Siege. But eventually, I think that we're going to return to a utility meta. I think that we're going to be returning to there being a Malusi wub on every single doorway. We're going to go back to cap traps being on every single doorway. We're going to see thorns. We're going to see frosts. We're going to see maestros and chunkies. We're going to see goyos. We're going to see traps.
you have
So many
you
traps.
have not mentioned probably the most potent trap user, who has gotten an amazing update a few of that like what 1 season ago. He's currently leading the defending meta currently with Warden. Um, he's the man, the myth, the legend from Hong Kong himself. Jinsei
Lesion.
Bing Chitting
Bing
Legion.
chilling.
That motherfucker is scary right now, and he will be one of your finest counters against this shield rework. I think
Mhm.
he's going to get to a point where he'll be like Jaeger, because he's the only one who does what he does in the way that he not only hurts you, he slows you down, he locks your sprint, and he actually just other than shield suppression, which is also a good counter. Um,
Mhm.
but he completely locks you down in the way that you are now taking damage. Every second you are in a firefight, you cannot take that motherfucking thing out. So you need to back off. You're already gonna take some hits, and then take that motherfucker out of your like um the really painful part about Legion in general is also his kit with impacts. I think currently he's really powerful with having impacts, two shotguns, the T5
Mm-hmm.
SMG, and
Mm-hmm.
like the highest damage pistol in the game, other than
Mm-hmm.
the PMM.
Mm-hmm.
His kit is
Legion
really good right now, and I do not think he should have impact grenades.
Legion is really good right now.
Also, the
And
612 is one of, if not the best shotgun in the game.
where are we on time, by the way?
We are on 35 minutes. So,
Righteous.
yeah.
So, we've talked about the shields. Let's move on to the next topic of discussion: the designer notes. Those got released.
Yay!
We got designer notes. You know, we have the plans. We have the plans for what they're going to be doing here. We have nerfs. We have the deltas, and what are your
Which,
what are your thoughts? Let's start with the attackers. What are your thoughts?
first off, I'm going to save these images and then bring them up on the recording. That way people can see what we're talking about. My thoughts generally though. How do I hold on. Give me 1 second, gamers.
Gamers.
I need like some up on. I guess I can pull it up and then Strike Source. All right. Oh yeah. Fuck it. It's just gonna be in this type of view. All right. Oh yes. Add window capture. Windows photos. Okay. Hello. Please. Fucking. Man, this would have been something great to set up beforehand if only I had the foresight to do it.
Yep.
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 uh,
Well,
in any case,
um,
I'll throw it up in post. So currently,
well, we're looking at it.
yeah, currently attackers.
All right,
Um,
let's start with the attackers. Attacker Delta. So there's an obvious couple outliers here.
there's Finka, way the fuck up there, but not quite out there, which is an
Yeah.
odd place for her, but
It's an odd place, but I do see why.
I don't think
I
we'll
don't
see
think
any
that
big changes
Finka,
soon
yeah,
for
I
her.
I think that Finka is fine, honestly.
She's in a weird spot right now because she has the frags back and her util is back to being good again.
But
However,
I
the
think her
spear.
presence, yeah, I believe that Finka's presence currently is only as high as it is with her being super, high win rate, but not a lot of pick. I think that
As
has more to do with culture. I think that has more to do with TDM meta culture and
yeah.
rushing.
Um, One other very obvious outlier here, actually two obvious outliers, are Ash and Yana. The reason the
Hmm.
G36C is being nerfed, which I
Yep.
am all here for. Aside from the recoil nerfs, I do think both of them should lose 1.5s for the G36. Ash should not have any zoomed in sights. It's all combat sights for her because she's supposed to be in there anyway. Why do you need zoom? Fuck you. Yana, on the other hand, I think should have a 1.5 on the ARX again. Give her more of an option, and
A
also
close range fast firing option or a long range heavy hitter.
I think she should have some other kind of change based around her gadget because her intel gathering abilities right now, whenever we do return to utility meta and well, like fully return to utility meta, return to siege, um, her gadget will be insanely powerful.
Infinite drone.
Infinite
Infinite
drone.
drone, infinite yellow pinging of gadgets.
Now, the idea that I have been toying with is making it a Halo Reach style hologram. Um,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it would be very funny if that motherfucker just walked in and then got shot. And even then, I don't think it should like ping the enemy or anything like an alibi. I don't think it should turn and flash like a fucking Yoru in Valorant. Um, I think it just needs to walk forward, and then the fools who shoot it also give the drone a health, I guess. Other than one, the fuckers who shoot it will have given their position away. You will know roughly where they are, and then you
Yeah.
can go in and
You know
frag them.
by you know by audio. You don't need the red pings, you know.
You
She
don't need
doesn't
any other cue.
need she doesn't need to become not a Rooney,
Alibi.
alibi, another A name. Go
All the five letter A names, man. It's
God,
rough.
it's
Azami,
rough,
Alibi,
dude.
Amaru, fucking there's more.
Azami.
Did I say Rooney already?
I think you said a Rooney. It's hard.
There's a lot.
There's
Okay.
a lot of them,
We
okay?
have ADHD, so fuck you.
Uh,
um
it's
yeah.
difficult, and they're all defenders.
Anyway,
Or no, there's Amaru's an attacker. Never mind. But
fine.
anyways,
Anyway,
um,
G36C OP, recoil nerfs good, also should lose the 1.5.
I don't even really think that the G36 is OP. I just think that the 1.5 is OP.
It the G I do think the G36 is overpowered. Its recoil is insanely low for it to have a decent DPS like it does. Like back way back in year 2 when I first started playing Siege, I looked at both the R4C and the G36C for Ash and I thought, okay, the recoil stats here are comparable. Why would I ever fucking use the G36? Only now that the R4C has been a little dug into the ground, but you know, by the test of time, even back when Ash didn't have any ACOGs or any kind of scope sights, I would still usually use the R4C, but I've actually aced a few times with the G36C as Ash because it's always been a better pick for recoil. The DPS has always been better for Ashes. You know, the rate of fire and damage are both better. So I don't think that the G36 needs any kind of rate of fire or damage nerfs. I don't think anything should have a changed rate of fire ever because that takes away from some level of realism, which I would like Siege to have.
Yeah.
It should
But we
only
should
ever be
always
the damage
remember
stat.
realism shouldn't be a balancing decision.
It shouldn't be a balancing decision, but it is still part of the
But it
game's
is nice.
identity.
Immersion is nice.
Um,
This is a Tom Clancy game. We should still be grounded.
yes. Uh, in any case, the G36C suffers from being too controllable. It has like SMG recoil, even though it's a rifle. So the damage and the rate of fire is whatever, but the damage is still really good for what it is. And I think that these changes are going to be good. I haven't actually used it in TTS, but I have seen people bitching about it in TTS, which is good to me. People now in the test servers have I've seen bitch about going, oh, G36C sucks now. Guess I'll go back to playing something else. And if that's your thought process, if that's your thought, like the G36C is your only option, then clearly something is wrong with the game, or something is wrong with you. But
Yeah.
it's likely a combining factor of both things because the G36C at this point in time is just a fucking meta itself,
Hmm.
which brings me to the upcoming meta, which is already happening. The G36C is the attacker weapon meta. And if we take a quick look at the defense,
So,
Gordon, Valk, Tubarão, AJ, discuss.
all right. So, on the defender side, those three all have one thing in common. They all have the MPX. Now, I understand that it is very difficult and expensive to get the licensing of firearms for this game. I completely get that. I understand that. However, we have so many guns in this game. There are so many options that you can give to operators, some of which have only been used on a single operator. Some weapons in this game are still operator exclusive, despite the fact that for, the past year, have we gotten a new gun in the past year?
Let me think. Our last new gun, I believe, was the
The piece of shit
PDW.
9, right?
Not PDW. The fucking yeah POF. But the POF now is better since it's just bad.
Better.
But we'll talk about that on our
That's a
future
different
episode about
episode.
how attackers suck. Um, in any
So
case, yeah.
the piece of shit 9 is the last gun we got. And meanwhile, we
Almost
still
here.
have some weapons, such as Cav's SMG, Ella's SMG, the MP5 SD. In my personal opinion, I think we could definitely see more MP5Ks. I think I'd like to see more of
We
those.
have two MP5Ks already. I want to keep it off of the MP5 train in general, except for the MP5 SD because that one's cool.
Yeah, that one's
There
cool and is only used once.
there are already three MP5s, um, two MP5Ks. I think that one is fine. That is a horse that does not need to be moved or kicked in any way, shape, or form. But
The
the
K1A, the K1A is also a gun that isn't
M&A
being used at all.
Ozzy's Commando 9 is I think a decently bounced pick because while I don't ever see it used,
Hmm.
I do see it pop off sometimes.
Yeah, because the Roni is just better.
Yeah, the people just use the Roni anyway. In any case, I think Tuberel at least would have a lot more spice um if he had either the Commando 9 or the MP5 SD. Actually, MP5
Mhm.
SD I think should just go to knock because Jesus
Yeah,
fucking Christ, why does she have
fuck the
that
FMG9.
FFG9? That thing fucking sucks.
The thing sucks.
Um,
What do they do to it? I hate it.
it's awful. Like
You
they
can't
nerf.
even run suppressor on it anymore.
I'm pretty sure they nerfed the recoil mainly because of smokes popping off with it, and also because Nock was also popping off with it. But now that Nock's
Smokes,
ability sucks,
good smokes use the SMIG 11 anyways.
Nock's big issue is that she either needs a better gadget or a better gun. But because they both suck, she sucks, and that's a problem. But we'll
Yep.
get to that on the Why Attackers Suck episode. In
Yeah.
any case, right now we're
That's a
talking about the MPX. That thing is, it has its own place. It's not overpowered. I won't say it's like a T5. If they added a third T5 to the game, that would fucking suck.
that would
Legion
suck.
is popular right now because he has both the shorty, an awesome gadget, and then all of his other options. But then also the T5 is still leading charge in his fucking meta brigade.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Oryx is kind of fucking down there, and that's mainly because his ability just isn't that useful. You can make rotates with fucking anything. You can make rotates with Legion because you've got shotguns, impacts, Legion. Um, and Oryx just he
Well,
has all these options, but
Orc
he's
shouldn't be using his ability for rotates anyways. It's an
yeah no,
option.
it is an
It's
option
a quick and easy option, but mostly, people use Oryx for his superior mobility. That's why people run T5 Oryx and they roam. They
Oryx
can
is a
get from
great
one side
flanker.
of the map in like no time flat. Of course, he's loud when he does it. There's a trade-off to it, which is why, despite him having the same weapon as Legion, Oryx isn't performing as well. Whereas with Legion just has a lot going on with him. He's Mozzie right now. He's Mozzie when Mozzie had
The
the
shorty.
super shorty. He
Yeah.
has a good primary head popper. He has a good secondary for rotations. He's got explosives, and he also has a very good gadget that can slow the game down significantly.
He has a lot of
Oh my
options going for him right
goodness, my
now.
dog.
Yeah, it's fine. We can barely hear it. That's who cares? Dogs, right? In any case, that's why Legion is currently leading the deltas. Um, Azami, of course, is still game changing all the time, but Warden is solely there because of the 1.5, and that's one issue that I think needs to be snipped. Is his 1.5 needs to be gone. Sorry, Warden mains. It's just something that needs to be done. I'm a Warden main. I've been
You're not
there.
a
I've been a
Yeah.
Warden main since the beginning, but I run the
All of
M590.
you all of you Warden players, I'm not even gonna call you Warden
Yeah, you're
mains.
not even mains. You just play
You're
them.
not a Warden main. You're an MPX main.
You really adopted the
The only
goggles.
reason the only reason that you are playing Warden right now is because you want to watch TikTok, on your phone for the first 45 seconds of every round,
Showtime time is
go
phone
to the
time.
top go to the top floor and spawn peek, get one tapped and complain in chat. That's all you're good for.
Dude, my dog shit teammates. Fucking god. All
That's
right.
all you're good for, all right? I am personally calling all of you Warden players out, all of you MPX mains.
But
You're a blight upon this community.
S
I swear it.
let me bring this to a head real quick. Velk actually is not in a horrible place. She's in kind of a similar place to like Finka, except quite as high. But I think it's clear that her loadout is good for the MPX. Her kit is good for the MPX because the MPX is a fine weapon, and it
The
should
MPX
stay
is a
fine.
fine weapon on
I
its
don't think it
own.
should be nerfed at all. Um, the problem is when you have people with kits that are too fucking good or just a 1.5 on the NPX. 1.5 will always be the deciding factor.
Hmm.
That's why Doc is there. um,
Yeah.
in any case, the one similarity between all the leads currently in like everything from Thorn onward, the one similarity is that none of them have 1.5s except for Thorn and Warden and Doc. But Thorn is down there because their gun fires slow and has a little bit of
Doesn't
recoil.
Mew
It's
have a
not.
1.5?
Hmm?
Doesn't Mew have a 1.5 on that
No,
MP5K
and that's one of the
MP5?
things I fucking hate about it.
Ah, stop
um,
nerfing him for no damn reason.
fucking Wamai has the 1.5 on the MP5K
Okay.
instead of like a 1.5 on the AUG instead.
That's what I was confused about.
Um, in any case, I guess Tubra does have 1.5, but that's on his DMR, which I mean that's just comparable to Rooney, so whatever. Um, in any case, the MP5 or the MPX should be taken off of Tubarao and Warden. I say and Warden because not be that high. I think that Solis should be given a new SMG of some variety or like a different rifle or something. Maybe give her a K1A or the fucking Commando 9. Give her P90 to Warden. That MPX disappears from history. I never want to think about it again.
Mm-hmm.
Subarel gets either an MP5 SD, K1A, any of the things we talked about before, the AUG A3 even.
Wait, no, AUG A3 is Cade's. Another gun that's used by nobody.
Exactly. I was thinking of it earlier when you were listing shit off, and I was like, oh, wow. 416C, which has been in the game since the fucking beginning.
416. Nobody uses that gun. Partially because it's dog water, but also
That's why Jaeger and, honestly, why Wamai are both so low, is because both of their rifles got nerfed the fuck out.
Mhm.
Jaeger's has always been weird to me. I've never really liked it that much, except for when I had the fucking ACOG, which is a story. Um, which it should never have an ACOG or 1.5 or anything again. But I do think it should have a little bit less recoil, either vertically or no, even vertical is fine. I just think it needs less horizontal, but like barely less. I don't know why they nerfed the AUG too. I never thought Wamai was that big of a fucking issue, and IQ sure never fucking used it because the 5.52 exists. But
Mhm.
the A2 has so much recoil right now, and it's just not fun to use. Um,
Like, yeah, it's a defending rifle, but
in any case, I
Tubby exists.
I think that there's an issue right now for mainly just defenders. I haven't really seen it with attackers where they're just getting the same three primaries. If there are three primaries on any team and they keep copying themselves, the only like outliers to this are like shotguns, DMRs, that kind of thing, because they're not really game changing. Those are an option. They're not gonna be a meta. They're not gonna be setting a precedent for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Rifles,
No,
SMGs,
effectively every single pump shotgun and every single semi-auto shotgun in the
they're
game, you
roughly
can't
the same.
even they're all roughly the same. Some of them are a little bit more accurate than others, some of them have a better fire rate, they
Some of them
each
just
have their
feel
own
better.
smaller quirks, but at the end of the day, all it takes is one pump from an 870 or a 590 and you're dead.
It really only takes one from a supernova and you're gone.
Yeah.
Um,
So
where's CQB?
like people having repeat shotguns is less important. Like that's not something that you really need to complain about.
But repeat rifles, repeat
Repeat
SMGs,
rifles and SMGs, that
that
is something
that is
that
the issue.
is an issue.
That is why in fucking on attack and on defense for the original 20 operators, Um, most of them have different weapons. Some have repeat guns, but like Thatcher only had an AR-33 for the longest time.
Hmm.
Until Flores, which was a 6-year difference.
Yep.
Um, Thermite, the 5.56, another 6-year difference. Uh,
Until Osa came around.
exactly. G36C wasn't on anybody else until Yana. R4C wasn't on anyone else until Ram just uh, what like
Just
a
two
season
seasons?
ago? One
A
season?
season?
One season? One season.
One season. One season.
Yep. God, the time it melds.
We're
Um,
currently on Tubby. Ram was last season.
yes. The the issue with having these duplicates, these multiples, it's if there's too much of one thing, it becomes clear that sometimes it might just be the better option all the time. I
Yeah.
think even like as far as Tuberao is concerned, you can give him basically any weapon right now, and I think he would be better off for it, unless
Yeah.
it's like the DP27, which hi there, Tachanka. What are you doing up there?
What are you doing up there, buddy? I remember you I remember not long ago you were like in the corner of the cafeteria with the weird black kid named Clash. I remember not so long ago that you were one of the
Oh God.
weirdos at the middle school cafeteria. Nobody wanted to sit with you, nobody wanted to talk to you, so you just made friends with the closest thing that you had to an associate. And now look at you.
Suddenly he's studied a lot and he's still the weird kid, but nobody wants to hang with him because he's too smart.
Yeah, now he just intimidates everybody because his head keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He just got too much going on. I tell you what,
I
I have
think
not had as much fun with Tachanka since the two tap came. But I think something needs to be said about that two tap.
so. Well, the interesting thing is this is only the way it is for the PC stats, and I'm not sure if it's accounting for cheaters because this is a popular weapon with cheaters right now because it does 60 damage
Because
per
of the
shot and
two
it's full
tap.
auto. Um, but the console stats, he's still in that little bubble where like Echo and Goyo are right now. Which God, fucking Echo's all the way down there. I
On
didn't.
console?
No, on look on the PC stats, and then Echo is just fucking. What the hell? I feel like Echo's gonna get some kind of buff soon because Jesus. I mean, I don't even really ever see him picked that much. I see like a few random
Look at
Echo
him.
mains, but then they usually just fucking die. Brava is a really fucking good counter against Echo right now. If I think if Echo had some kind of like, I think some kind of like EMP burst that happens with his Sonic Blast, like a smaller EMP burst, like say the EMP burst that happens whenever you use the deployable camera.
What?
If it
Are
had
you
that at the core of it, and then the Sonic Blasters around it, I think that would be good because they need to have some kind of counter for Brava so that his drones wouldn't be stolen so fucking easily. It is so fucking. Oh my god, it's so hilarious and easy to steal
I
Echo
mean,
drones.
at least
Maestro has
Maestro
an
and his
option for dealing
meatballs,
with it.
he can just kill it. He can just straight up kill it.
Zap zap.
Anybody with a deployable camera, they can just stun it. And now there's just a 8-second stunned Brava drone in the middle of objective.
Echo has no
Kill it.
fucking options to deal with it. He also has no options to deal with Twitch. Echo's main saving grace in the past was that the drones
It was
cloak
invisible.
themselves, but that would be too powerful now, I feel. Even then,
Yeah,
like, I could see.
I think that
You
the
can always
fact
just
that
use an
Siege has
IQ.
completely phased out cloaking devices is good.
I think that is better because that shit
I think
is
that's healthier for the
wild.
game.
In any case, I do think that Echo needs something. I think that if he had an EMP blast, I think that would be. I think that.
Doesn't even need to be like the same size.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is that it should
Like
be
it
at like
could
the
be just a
epicenter,
yeah, it could just be a pinpoint thing where now it's a skill expression.
right?
An echo that is actively on their drones can stop the Brava. They can stop the Twitch. They just got to be good at the game.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Whereas currently there is no counterplay. The
yeah.
counterplay is you hope you have a mute, you hope you have a Mozzie, you hope you have a Solis, and they deal with it for you.
In any case, it should be okay. You have a supernova or an MP5 SD. which are both
Mhm.
decent guns. But that's the thing about them is that they're only decent. They're not game changing. If
Yeah.
he had, if Echo had an MPX. In any case, he should have kept the SD and Knock share.
Yeah.
Or he should share with Knock. Fucking Malusi hiding works and Vigil, which
Yeah, I see you
that's
there.
fine. I don't think Malusi really needs anything crazy. I think she should be a 2-speed again, or 2-speed now. She was never a
Yeah.
2-speed in the
I
first
think
place.
I think that she should be a 2-speed, and I think mostly because 3-speed, it is hard to, or 3 armor rather.
It's hard to set
Like,
up.
let's take a second and look at the 3
Yeah,
armors that are around. Like, Mira, she only has 2 different places that she can put her shit down, but she's gonna be staying on objective. Um,
is like our best
Doc,
anchor option.
yeah, Doc, I mean, he's the healer, he doesn't need to do anything with his gadget. It's a reactive thing.
It's clear that he
Uh,
gets around. Cade is currently lower than Bandit
because
because he just
Cade,
doesn't have an MP7. Clearly.
yeah,
Um,
and he's electric. He's the denier. He stands there. Frickin' Rook, he just puts it down when he spawns. Or
Rook
if
puts it down and then he profits for the rest of the match because all of his options are really solid.
yeah, but for like Malusi has to go out there, dude.
Lucy
Malusi
has
has
to
to go and
find
set
places
up.
to put her stuff, and then from there, the round is already almost about to begin. And you better have hoped that your team reinforced while you were setting shit up because you
Yeah,
have no time. Um,
yeah. I think
Another
that he should be a 2-speed, and I think that's really the only change that Malusi should ever need.
2 speed should be the only change. The only other optional change, which I don't even like that much, is giving her a 1.5.
Mm.
Because it would make her slightly more usable. But even then, you still have
if
to
she was a if
set
she
up
was
your
a 3
objective.
armor, if she was a 3 armor, I'd be okay with that. But
But
if
as a
she's a
two
2
speed,
armor,
definitely not. Hell no.
definitely not. I think that the best thing to do that would be healthy for the game is make Malusi a 2 armor, and you'll see a lot more of her, and you'll see people cooking.
Yep. You're currently at
Because
an
I've
hour.
I've seen I've seen some people cook with Malusi. I know strategies with it. I know the theory of Malusi. I just don't like playing her.
Yeah, no, it's just not fun. I've played her
Slow.
a few times recently, and it's just it's underwhelming every
I
time.
I would rather just face check it as a rook.
I actually also just realized I forgot that one Mozzie has a 1.5 on the Roni.
Yep.
Delete that shit and he will fall.
Yep.
It truly is the biggest problem. The reason the speed doesn't matter for fucking Warden is because you have no reason to stay on site. Obviously, you can be there if you're actually playing Warden smart. You can sit there and you can use your shotgun, you can use your MPX, you can use whatever, and really profit with, say Ying is rushing. That shit is
That's
lethal to
common.
anyone unless you are Jaeger or Warden. And with Jaeger, you're bad. Your gun sucks. You'll probably only capture one little fucking Ying pellet anyway. So go fuck yourself, idiot. Why are you playing Jaeger? Play Warden. Just turn on the goggles and then profit with the MPX because the MPX is just fucking better. In any
I mean,
case,
I'm just gonna put this down here. Remember that game that me and you clutched out the other day, where I was playing Shotgun Warden and you were playing Clash, and we clutched the hell out of that game. That's
I'll
it
remember.
was on Chalet, uh,
Chalet.
Chalet, second floor. Um,
Oh! Yeah.
it was like a 2v4.
We almost clutched it out.
Did we almost clutch?
We
Right, right. I
almost
think I,
clutched it out
I
because the
think
thermite
I,
survived. I think you pushed ahead because I started looking downstairs, and then
yeah,
you got crap. You got kept. But if we had stayed
yeah.
together, we would have won it
If we had
very
stayed
easily.
together, we would have won. But
In any
like that's
case,
that's the kind of shit that you need to be doing as a warden.
Warden is
You need to
powerful on
be.
defense. His kit right now is just too focused on being out there. And now that his gadget has been buffed since his release, I think it is time for him to go back to only having like a deployable shield. Maybe impacts instead of the nitro. But
Not
actually, wait, he
for
does have the deployable shield. So yeah, deployable shield impacts, and then deleting the 1.5. That way, his sole focus, really, the focus that you should be playing him for, is to stay on objective. That is why he's fat. That is why Doc is fat. That's why Mira's fat. That's why anybody who's fat, is because they're supposed to sit there. They're supposed to anchor. You're not supposed to roam with a 3 armor. Like, that's really part of the core gameplay loop of Siege. You look at every other 3 armor, nobody is as high as Warden is. Everybody above them is a 2 speed or a 3 speed.
hmm
Cade is the second highest fat ass. Oh wait, no, fuck. I keep forgetting Doc's there because it keeps feeling like he's 2 speed. Is he 2 speed? They didn't make that change. No,
Who?
no, Doc's fat. Doc's fat.
Doc's fat. Yeah,
Doc's fat.
Doc's
Doc's
fat.
fat. They had thrown around in the past about changing Doc to 2 speed somewhere,
And I
so
remember there
it
was
hit
like
me.
pushback, and they were like, "No, fuck off," and they were like, "Okay, we'll put it back.
Fuck.
We'll put the
Yeah, no.
plate back on his. We'll put the plate back on his dinner table.
I'll
All
put the
right."
baguette back on his fucking tummy. Uh, but yeah, the fact that like in the overpicked section there are only 3 fat asses. That's its own little stat.
And then you have to think, why are they there?
Yep. And it's because 2 of them have 1.5, and then one of them is a denier.
Yep.
It's as simple as. Mira is underpicked because she doesn't have a 1.5. The vector is still really good, so she should never have a
Yeah.
1.5. Goyo is underpicked, not because of his 1.5, but because his gadget just isn't that useful, and a lot of people play him really, really wrong.
Yeah.
Do not double stack Goyos. You're doing yourself a favor
Goyo.
and giving yourself an extra explosion, but even then, you do not use them for the explosion, use them for the area denial. Do not stack
hmm
Goyos, they will set each other off.
Yep.
It's
And
stupid. You can do it in
you
drone
lose
phase.
20 whole seconds of your utility. The issue with
40.
Goyo primarily.
Yeah,
Hmm? Yeah.
40
The
seconds.
oh, yeah 40. Well, that's what I'm saying. You
Well,
lose 20
yeah,
seconds
I guess he was 20 extra, but
because
yeah,
if they're
yeah,
stacked on top of each other, they compound, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
you lose that 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's only one set. But anyways, I think the reason that a lot of people avoid Goyo, it's two things. I see so many clips of people running Goyo, and then somebody griefs, and they like sit in the fire and get you banned. Usually a dock player stimming themselves so that the reverse friendly fire activates.
Yeah, it kicks in and then they just keep sitting there. That's stupid.
Like that's ridiculous. The fact that that is still in the game since Goyo got released, all the way back when he used to have deployable shields, plural. Um, and then the other thing is that Goyo is a very high risk but high reward person that I don't think that there is necessarily enough reward for how much risk there is. He can be actively detrimental to a team.
Yeah, no. If
If
he
a Twitch shows up, if a single person with frag grenades show up, which is a lot more likely these days.
if he just decides to close something off that really shouldn't have been closed off right at that moment, it's a bad Goyo player. Two, his gadget just isn't that useful. Chanka and Smoke both have the virtue of knowing where their gadgets are going to go at any given time,
They
and
can aim it.
they're they have free will over it. Really.
Yeah, it's reactive, whereas Goyo has to be preemptive.
Mhm.
You have to predict that they're going to be there, and then you have to hope that they still decide to go there if they find out there's a Goyo canister.
Yeah. Which I think it was better when he had the shields. Because not only were you got to be preemptive with it, you got to think, aha, they might push this way, but also you got to put some extra defense on that way just in case they didn't push that way or they decide to play it from a distance.
Well,
In
the
any
reason that
case,
they got rid of that was because of the utility meta back in 2020.
yeah,
Back then, yeah, there was like 3 or 4 deployable shields all on the same rotation, and you had to just play Zoph, Ash, and anybody with frags in order to get past it.
yep.
And that was terrible. I don't think that giving Goyo
I
I
don't think
don't
he
think
should
that
have it back by any
I
means.
don't think
I'm
he should
just
have it
saying it
back.
was better for him.
It was
But
better.
I I definitely I don't really see how you could make him better now. because he's just in a really weird spot. He's a more niche pick. He's like Castle. Castle, I don't think should be changed at all because his kid is good.
His kid is really good. I
He's
love
down
Cat.
there. It's just he's a time waster. That's all he
Yeah,
is.
he's a time waster. He corrals you. It. He's not supposed to be, you know, making plays. He's passive.
Goyo's at that same point. They are both time wasters. In fact, playing Goyo and Castle together is one of the best time wasting options you have available
You
because you could
really
just put
don't
the
want that door opened. Put a Goyo on it.
yep, just have it be there, and then they have to run it out first. If they have a Twitch, I mean, they can blow up the Goyo, which will blow up the Castle barricade. But even then, it's like I don't know. You're still wasting another 20 seconds of their time. So if you're gonna play Goyo, play with a Castle or play with a Kapkan,
Yep.
and that will be the best bang for your buck.
And one more thing to all of you Goyo players out there. If you really do want to play Goyo, here's a tip. Goyo is only effective when you can shoot the Goyo. That sounds simple, but I really need you to understand what that means. I have an idea in my head. We're thinking of shit. Where helicopter? Do not attempt to board the
Oh, Border.
helicopter.
Yeah.
Border. That's what it's called.
I was thinking of Border.
I'm
How'd you
thinking
know?
I'm
Armory lockers.
thinking border armory locker. That
Wow.
area in the breach wall in armory.
Because we were thinking of the fucking double Goyo that I blew.
Yeah. The entire time that we were talking about Goya, I was thinking of that ridiculous setup.
I immediately thought of the fucker that set up two Goyos. I jumped my drone onto one of
Yep.
them, and then the dumbass shot me, and then blew up both Goyos at the prep phase. Like, Goyo mains, it's not that tough.
But
Make it better for yourself.
on that wall, do not put the Goyo on the wall. Do not put the Goyo nearby the doorway. The reason you don't is because of contingency. The reason that you put the Goyo down is there's two ways of doing it. One, you make a trap that they don't know is there, or two, you make a statement that you are here, you will detonate it, and if the enemy team sees it and they detonate it, then they're going to be stuck for 20 seconds, and I know you're there.
Here.
You need to be using the Goyo canisters as a fear device. You need to be using it as a zoning device, not because you detonated it, but because of its presence. Instead of putting that Goyo canister on the breach wall to punish anybody that breaches it, instead of putting it on a doorway to punish anybody that breaks it, instead of putting it by the doorway so that you can detonate it when somebody wants to walk in, don't. Your head is exposed, you'll get fried. Instead, put it in the center of that area. Put it by the default. Put it around that corner, but make it so that even though that the wall is open, the door is open, they're about to come in and plant, you're completely safe. You are by the actual locker looking towards the canister that is aimed away from the enemy. They can't detonate it, but they see it, they know it's there, and either they push it or they detonate it. And if they push it, you detonate it. That's fear. That is a psychological terror moment, all right? That's how you play Goyo. Stop putting Goyos on windows and shit unless you're doing something weird, all right?
You,
If
as the Goyo player, decide when your trap goes off. That should be your main focus all the time.
you either like the real focus of Goyo is yes, you either want to have full control of when that thing is going to blow, or you want it to be bait. You want it to be a statement to the enemy that this is right here in the middle of the open and you have no angle on it to destroy it. You either use a Gon 6, use a frag, use an explosive, or I'm going to use it when you walk over it. Like
Um,
Goyo and Castle, you should play them the exact same way.
if you automate your Goyos with castles or Kapkans, you're playing Goyo correctly still. So you know.
Yes.
Which
That's still valid.
if you don't know how to automate it with cap traps, you just right next to the cap trap and it'll go off.
Yeah.
Um,
And it'll turn a one trap from a cap can to a kill.
let's take a quick look now that we've some way. Let me take a quick look and see what we've gone over. Pretty much everything that I've had in my
Run over
notes.
everything.
All right. Um. Yeah. So, if you have any comments or anything, any topics you'd like to see us cover, please let us know. We will try to be uploading now, as I said in my little update video I posted. We will be trying to be uploading on Mondays, and then creating that backlog, extra videos and stuff, so that we will have extra videos to fall back on in case we miss a week or whatever. Uh, and we'll just try to be more consistent about our uploads. That's our goal. Um, in any case, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll get with you next week.
Oh, that's such a good fucking catchphrase.